Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. It's all about learning English, and we're talking fast and easy.
Fast and easy. Well, that sounds promising.
Right. We've got a mountain of sources to dig through, and we're going to uncover the best tips and tricks. And guess what? It's all about you. So if you're ready to boost your vocab, nail that grammar, finally understand those fast-talking natives, and basically make English a part of your everyday life, then you are in the right place.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for
We
us.
do, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so let's jump right in. One thing we see popping up everywhere is vocabulary. It's like the building blocks, right?
Absolutely. You can't build a house without bricks.
Exactly. One source really hammered this idea of ditching rote memorization. It's all about contextual learning. They use this example. Instead of just memorizing the word serene, think of a serene lake at sunrise. It's about painting a picture in your mind.
I like that. It's about making those words come alive, not just sitting there on a page.
All right, so instead of just cramming lists, think about themes. Like
Yeah.
if you're super into travel, learn words like itinerary, passport, even jet lag alongside serene.
Yeah, you're grouping related words together. It's how our brains naturally work.
One source also mentioned collocations. Basically those natural word pairings that native speakers use without even thinking about it. Like we say, make a mistake, not do a mistake.
Collocations are like those secret codes to sounding more natural. You're not just learning words, you're learning how they dance together.
That's a good way to put it. So are you saying my English sounds a bit robotic because I haven't mastered collocations?
Could be. Let's see what else we've got here. Okay, this is interesting. One source is all about using technology to our advantage, specifically spaced repetition apps like Anki and Quizlet.
Ah, yes, spaced repetition. It's like having a personal trainer for your vocab, right?
Exactly. These apps show you words just as you're about to forget them, pushing them back into your memory. It's pretty clever.
But for those of us who love the feel of pen on paper, the good old vocabulary journal is a classic for a reason.
Oh, yeah. Nothing beats writing down new words, their meanings, and even using them in sentences.
It's about making that active effort to really own the words. So here's a challenge for you listening. Pick a theme, write down 10 new words, create sentences, and try to use those words in real conversations this week. See what happens.
I love it, putting it into practice right away. All right, so we've talked about words, but what about the glue that holds it all together? Grammar.
Yeah, grammar can be a bit scary for some people. But one source emphasized that you don't have to become a grammar expert overnight. Start with the core tenses. Present simple, past simple, and future.
These are your bread and butter tenses. Once you master those, you can talk about almost anything.
One source gave these examples. I eat breakfast every morning. Yesterday I went to the cinema. Tomorrow I will call my friend. See?
Simple?
Simple but effective. They cover so much ground in everyday conversations.
Right, so we've got the basics, but how do we make those sentences more lively, more interesting?
Linking words, my friend. Linking words. Those little words like, however, they add so much nuance.
Oh, I get it. Like instead of just saying, I love to travel, you could say, I love to travel because it allows me to experience new cultures.
Exactly. The because adds a whole new dimension. It explains your reason. It connects your ideas.
Okay, that makes sense. But one thing I've always struggled with is actually using grammar rules. It's like my brain freezes.
Yeah, I hear you. One source suggested something interesting. Write about your weekend using the past tense. Or describe your dream job using the future tense. It's about making those rules come alive.
So instead of just memorizing verb conjugations, we're using them to tell stories.
Exactly. And another source had this cool tip. Pay attention to grammar while you're reading or listening to English.
Almost like you're absorbing it through osmosis.
Exactly. You start noticing those patterns, where the commas go, how sentences are structured, and then you can try to replicate it in your own speaking and writing.
Okay, so for those ready for the next level, one source mentioned conditional sentences and passive voice. They said those can really add some sparkle. Ah, yes. Conditionals are for exploring possibilities, like, if I had more time, I would travel more. And passive voice shifts the focus, like in the book was written by a famous author.
All right, grammar gurus, here's your challenge. Write 3 sentences, one in each of the core tenses, present, past, future, and see how it feels to put those rules into action.
Okay, so we can express ourselves, but what about understanding others? Listening comprehension is just as important.
Absolutely. One source talked about active listening. It's not just about hearing the words, it's about engaging with them, trying to understand, summarizing in your own words.
Like having a conversation in your head with the speaker.
Right.
Exactly.
One technique that seems really cool is called shadowing. You basically mimic a native speaker's tone, rhythm, pronunciation. Everything.
Shadowing is like stepping into their shoes. It helps with both listening and speaking.
Okay, so finding the right listening material is key. Too easy and you're bored, too hard and you're lost.
Beginners can start with things like children's stories or podcasts with transcripts. As you get better, try news programs, TED Talks, even documentaries.
One source even suggested watching your favorite TV shows or movies in English. Starting with subtitles in your native language, then switching to English subtitles, and eventually trying to watch without any subtitles at all.
And don't forget about music. Music is a fantastic way to learn vocabulary, pronunciation, even grammar.
Okay, listeners, here's your listening challenge. Pick an English podcast or video, listen to it twice, and see how many new words or phrases you can pick up.
Now comes the part that many people dread, speaking.
Speaking can definitely be nerve-wracking, but one source had a surprisingly simple tip. Talk to yourself in English.
Just chat away about your day, your thoughts, anything. It's a judgment-free zone.
Another source recommended recording yourself answering basic questions like, what's your favorite hobby? Or what did you do yesterday?
Listening back can be eye-opening. You'll notice things about your pronunciation, intonation that you might not have realized before.
Okay, so we've talked about talking to ourselves, but what about talking to actual people?
Well, finding a language partner can be a game changer. There are apps like HelloTalk and Tandem that can connect you with native speakers.
And of course, there's always the option of joining a conversation group. Those can be really fun.
The important thing is to find someone who you enjoy talking to and who can help you practice.
But what about the fear of making mistakes? It can be paralyzing.
One source said it perfectly: prioritize fluency over accuracy, especially in the beginning.
It's about getting your message across, even if it's not perfect.
Think of it like learning to dance. You're not going to nail every step right away. It takes practice.
Here's a challenge for you brave souls. Record yourself answering the question, what are your plans for the weekend? And share it if you're feeling bold. We'll give you some feedback.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's talk about making English a part of your everyday life.
One source recommended dedicating just 15 minutes each day to practicing English.
Short bursts of consistent practice are more effective than long, sporadic study sessions.
And make it fun. If you love cooking, try following English recipes. If you're into fitness work, out to English exercise videos.
It's about finding those little ways to weave English into your routine.
One source suggested keeping an English journal. Just write down your thoughts, your goals, your experiences. It's great for practicing writing and reflecting on your progress.
And for those who want to go all in, try labeling things around your house in English, or switch your phone settings to English. Listen to English podcasts during your commute.
It's about creating that immersive environment. So here's your final challenge. Choose one activity, reading, writing, listening, or speaking, and commit to doing it every day for a week.
See what happens. You might be surprised by how much progress you can make with just a little bit of consistent effort.
That's a great note to end on for today. So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be back with even more tips and tricks to help you conquer English.
And remember, the key is to have fun with it. Learning a language should be an adventure.
Exactly. So until next time, keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep believing in yourself.
We'll see you soon for part 2. Welcome back to our English learning extravaganza.
Part 2. We're diving deeper. Remember we were talking about making English a part of your everyday life?
Yeah, like those small changes that make a big difference. Labeling stuff around the house, switching your phone settings.
Totally. One source said, if you're into cooking, follow English recipes.
Right, it's like learning without even realizing it.
And if you're a fitness fanatic, work out to English exercise videos.
Sneak in that English practice wherever you can.
So we talked about vocabulary, building all those cool techniques.
Yeah.
But what about flashcards? Do people still use those?
Flashcards, they're a classic for a reason. They're portable, customizable, and you can use them for anything.
You can even make your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
English word on one side definition or a picture on the other.
Or use pre-made decks.
The key is to use them consistently and review those words at spaced intervals.
And here's a fun idea. Use them with a language partner. Turn it into a game.
Speaking of partners, remember how important it is to find someone to practice with.
Like a language exchange buddy.
It can really make a difference, especially for speaking and listening.
There are tons of apps and websites out there to help you find someone.
HelloTalk Tandem online communities, even local meetups.
The key is to find someone who you click with.
Yeah, someone who shares your learning goals.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Mistakes are proof that you're learning.
One source even suggested talking to yourself in English.
It might sound strange, but it works.
Describe your day, your thoughts, your dreams. Just get those words flowing.
And if you're feeling brave, record yourself speaking.
They can be a bit scary, but also really helpful.
You'll pick up on things you might not have noticed before.
Okay, so vocabulary and speaking are important, but what about grammar? We talked about tenses and linking words, but sentence structure is crucial too.
English sentences have a certain order. Subject, verb, object, like, I eat pizza.
But there are variations, like in questions, do you eat pizza?
Understanding these structures is essential.
One source mentioned sentence diagramming.
It's a way to visually break down a sentence.
See how all the pieces fit together.
And don't forget about punctuation.
Commas, periods, question marks, they all matter.
They can change the entire meaning of a sentence.
Okay, let's talk idioms. They always trip me out.
Idioms are those expressions that don't mean what they literally say.
Like, kick the bucket. It doesn't actually involve a bucket.
It means to die.
The best way to learn idioms is through exposure.
Reading movies, music. Pay attention to how they're used in context.
Try using them yourself. The more you practice, the more natural they'll become.
Now back to listening skills. We talked about active listening and shadowing, but here are a few more tips.
One source said to focus on keywords and phrases.
Those are the words that carry the most important information.
And use context clues. If you don't understand a word, look at the words around it.
Try to figure out the meaning based on the situation.
And of course, watch movies and TV shows in English.
It's a fun and immersive way to learn.
Start with something familiar.
Use subtitles if you need to.
Watching with a friend can make it even more enjoyable.
Okay, now let's talk more about speaking. We've covered a lot, but there's always more to learn.
Pronunciation is essential.
Make sure you're producing those sounds correctly.
Use online dictionaries, listen to recordings.
Maybe even work with a speech therapist if needed.
And don't forget about intonation.
It's the rise and fall of your voice.
It adds so much expression to your speech.
And then there's stress, the emphasis you put on certain syllables.
Mastering stress patterns can make your English sound much more natural.
Now let's talk about a common fear, making mistakes in front of others.
It's totally normal to feel nervous, but one source recommended practicing in a safe environment.
Find a language partner or group where you feel comfortable.
Remember, the goal is to communicate, not to be perfect.
Now let's explore some helpful resources.
Dictionaries are essential.
They're packed with information, definitions, pronunciations, examples.
Choose a dictionary that suits your needs.
And don't underestimate the power of online dictionaries.
They're convenient and often free.
Grammar books can also be helpful.
They provide a deeper understanding of the rules.
And then there's the vast world of online resources.
Websites, apps, podcasts, YouTube channels.
It's a goldmine of learning opportunities.
But remember, technology is a tool.
Use it wisely and combine it with other methods.
Okay, let's talk motivation. How do we stay on track?
Setting realistic goals is crucial.
Don't try to learn everything at once.
Break down your goals into smaller steps.
And make it fun. Connect your learning to your interests.
Reward yourself for your progress.
Celebrate those milestones.
And connect with other learners.
It's so much easier when you have a support system.
Remember, learning a language takes time.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
There will be ups and downs.
But if you stay persistent, you will reach your goals.
Now let's tackle a big one, procrastination.
It's the enemy of progress.
One way to beat it is to create a study schedule.
Treat your study time like important appointments. Break down your tasks into smaller chunks.
And reward yourself for completing them.
Feedback is also crucial for growth.
Seek feedback from teachers, partners, tutors.
Be open to constructive criticism.
It's a valuable tool for improvement.
As we wrap up, Part 2, remember that this is just a starting point.
There's so much more to explore.
But the most important thing is to stay curious, stay motivated, and never give up on your learning journey.
Who knows, maybe someday you'll be giving this deep dive yourself.
That's a great goal to have. But for now, let's leave our listeners with a final thought.
We've talked about so many tools and techniques.
But the most powerful resource you have is your own curiosity.
Never stop asking questions, exploring new ideas, and seeking out opportunities to learn and grow.
Your journey to fluency starts with a single step.
And every step you take brings you closer to your goal.
So keep learning, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself.
And remember, the world is full of amazing things to discover when you have the gift of language.
All right, back for the final stretch of our English learning marathon.
Part 3. We're in the home stretch. We've covered tons of tips and tricks.
From vocabulary to grammar, listening to speaking, we even tackled motivation and procrastination.
But there's one more secret weapon we need to talk about.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Technology. It's changed the game completely.
Oh, yeah. It's like having a whole world of English learning resources at your fingertips.
Exactly. Think about it. Apps, websites, online platforms, it's all there.
One of the big ones is language learning apps. Duolingo, Babbel, Rosetta Stone. They're everywhere.
They're great for getting started or for brushing up on your skills.
Those bite-sized lessons and gamified exercises can really make learning fun.
But for those times when you need a bit more depth, don't forget about online dictionaries and translators.
Google Translate word reference, they're lifesavers.
Not just for quick translations, but for understanding nuances in word usage, grammar, idioms.
It's like having a personal language tutor available 24/7.
And then there are those amazing online language exchange platforms.
Hello Talk Tandem. They connect you with native speakers from all over the world.
It's an incredible opportunity to practice your speaking, writing, and listening skills with real people.
And to get those valuable cultural insights.
Speaking of online platforms, we can't forget about the big ones. Coursera, ADX, Future Learn.
They offer courses on everything, including English language learning.
Taught by instructors from some of the best universities in the world.
And you can learn at your own pace from anywhere.
But here's the thing, technology is a tool.
Right. It's not a magic solution.
You need to use it effectively. Combine it with other methods like real-life conversations, reading, immersing yourself in the culture.
It's all about finding that balance.
But even with the best tools in the world, staying motivated can be tough.
One source had some great advice. Set realistic goals.
Don't try to learn everything at once.
Break down your goals into smaller, manageable steps.
It's those small wins that keep you going.
And make it fun. If you love music, listen to English songs. If you're into movies, watch English films.
When learning feels like something you enjoy doing, it's so much easier to stay motivated.
And don't forget to reward yourself for your hard work.
Celebrate those milestones, no matter how small.
It's a great way to stay positive and keep that momentum going.
And remember, you're not alone in this guild. Connect with other language learners.
Join a group, find a study buddy, participate in online communities.
Sharing your experiences with others can be incredibly motivating.
It's like having a cheerleading squad for your English learning journey.
So as we wrap up this final part of our deep dive, keep this in mind. Learning a language is a journey.
It's full of twists and turns, ups and downs.
But if you stay persistent, stay curious, and stay passionate about your goal, you will reach fluency.
Trust the process, embrace the challenge, and most importantly, enjoy the ride.
Well said. That brings us to the end of our deep dive into learning English fast and easy.
We've covered a lot of ground, but hopefully you've picked up some valuable tips and tricks along the way.
Remember, it's all about taking action, putting those tips into practice.
And never giving up on your dream of mastering English.
It's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep believing in yourself.
The world is waiting to hear your voice.